So, hi. Can you all hear me okay?
You're fine, Henry. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So it's just my brief but deep honor to be able to introduce Will Brennan tonight, who's offering us a talk. And I just want to say a couple of words about Will. First, that actually I was just thinking it through. He was actually my first sort of formal student, actually. It's Will, I think you had the whatever it was, the fate, the karma, to do what they call shoken, which is a sort of formal little ceremony of becoming a student with me. And there were some people in Germany who were already studying with me, but they hadn't actually yet done that formal thing that you did. And back in late 2010, I think it was, when you first invited me into Mountain Cloud, it's a great honor for me. And it's a real delight that you've reached this point in your practice whereby by myself, but also by Valerie and also by the abbot of Sanbo Zen, you've been appointed as an assistant teacher of Sanbo Zen, not just sort of Henry or Mountain Cloud or something, but Sanbo Zen. You know, you're part of that greater, wider faculty, so to speak. It's very thrilling, you know, and richly right, very right. Just a second point I wanted to make is that just so that we're all clear, because there's been a lot of confusion about what sort of quote unquote teachers sort of are in the West in this kind of spiritual setting. They're students. It's as simple as that. You know, we never stop being a student in Zen. It's impossible. And the idea that, you know, some sort of magic zaps you and you become something different through Dharma transmission is just utter nonsense. And we really need to get rid of that. And it's very good that Sanbo Zen is an organization that doesn't see it anything like that. There are four sort of, you know, levels of responsibility as teachers that we have. And so it's just a landmark. It's just a mile marker on an endless road. And it's you know, it's not as if sort of becoming a teacher sort of means your practice is in any sense sort of complete. Of course not. It's just that, you know, in the view of various people, you know, who are experienced in this, you're ready to guide others to a certain level with a certain level of responsibility, and in time that responsibility may deepen further and so on. It's just a very natural evolving thing that never stops evolving. There's no final point. And so it's not like sort of, you know, oh my God, I'm a teacher, I've got to be sort of something I'm not. You know? It's not like that at all. It's just ever more natural, really. You just have to, you know, you're just more naturally being whatever the practice wants to be through you, as you. So very, very, let's, you know, just to be clear that we don't get we shouldn't have some idea that, you know, something sort of different starts happening if we start being a teacher. Not at all, not at all. We just continue our practice, and we just, part of our practice becomes sometimes sharing it in some ways with others, sort of in the sense of participating in a small way in their practice, basically. So Will, thank you very, very much for going this way as earnestly as you have done all these years, and over to you.
How about that?
You sound good, Will.
Oh, wonderful. So before I get going here, I have these wonderful, I think Henry calls these cans. And I have these on because Chloe and we did an experiment last night. She was in another room and we were communicating, and I could hear her clearly and she could hear me clearly. So I'm assuming you all can hear me clearly. All right, good. Not too loud? All right, good. Thanks. So Ah, I usually find myself talking about heating systems, plumbing systems, um, air conditioning systems. And so I go into a lot of detail. And sometimes people tell me I go into too much detail. But I always think it's important for people to understand the system. And I'm very comfortable talking about heating systems, mechanical systems. Well, tonight, I have to turn a channel, and because I was asked to turn the channel and give a talk about Buddhist practice. And in some ways, it's the same kind of a speech or talk where I'll be trying to connect things and show how some systems work, or the way that I see how some systems work. Yeah, yeah. So we'll be touching on how to practice, some hints that I think that would be beneficial. But yeah, I like that. Plumbing, how to work, practicing how to work. It's the same. Really not much of a separation there. So this this practice of writing a talk has been nothing other than working on a koan. I've worked on many koans over the years. And yeah, there's this period where there's this uncomfortableness, just can't get my hands around it. And so then I go back and I sit still. Maybe I go for a walk, have a cup of tea, whatever. And all of a sudden, things slowly percolate. And I like how Henry and Valerie and other teachers have said that koan, it works on you. Writing this paper has worked on me. Yeah, it's the walks that I've been working on this for a week, and I'll work on it and I'll go for walks. And each day these walks are getting clearer and clearer. So hopefully this talk will be somewhat clear. Okay, so enough about that. The theme of tonight's talk is coming home, or as Norman Fisher would say, sailing home. I've heard for years, and everyone who has practiced, we hear that term, those terms, coming home. Well, where is the home? What is home? Aren't I home now? Little fuzzy there. So what I did, one of my first steps is I opened up the Webster's dictionary, and I wrote down some definitions of home. Home, one's dwelling place, abode of one's family, habitat. In various games, the goal, like, what's that game? Monopoly. When you go around, in that circle, well, actually it's a rectangle. Anyway, when you go around there, you get home and you get $50. The definition that grabs me the most is really the word abode. When I hear abode these days, I automatically think about the Satipatthana Sutra, the Mindfulness Sutra. I believe it was about, 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago. Now, this is what I saw. I saw Henry starting to bring in mindfulness practice, which I think is just fantastic, because my sense on whether I'm working on a mechanical system or any kind of a system, I always have to go back to the basics. And I feel that mindfulness practice really, really is important, brings me back home. So the Satipatthana, it consists of four foundations, or I like to call them four abodes, because that's how I see it. And those four abodes are the body, feelings, the mind, and dharmas. And I don't know. I think the Satipatthana Sutra is not that long. But anyway, at the beginning of the sutra, there's this instruction that's repeated 4 times, each time for each of the abodes. And that instruction says this: dwell perceiving again and again the body as just the body, not mine, not I, not self, but just a phenomena with diligence and clear understanding. And again, perceiving again and again feelings as just feelings, not mine, not I, not self, but just a phenomena with diligence and clear understanding. This instruction, this sutra, to me is a meditation of letting go of that little me, that little me that likes to hold on to right and wrong, big and small, gain and loss. And that other thing that that I surely deal with is more money, more intelligence, more everything. Yeah. So that's the Satipatthana. So I want to introduce. By the way, that was my first part. There's 3 parts to this short talk. The next part is this wonderful book, Norman Fisher. Let's see. I guess you could see it. I hope you. Yeah, good. Sailing Home, Norman Fisher. And you can see there's a ship on it. There's a ship just sailing. Relatively smooth waters there. So this book, this story, this tale is about Odysseus. He's trying to get home. And sometimes those waves are really smooth sailing. Another time, those waves are up and down, just like our lives, up and down, up and down. And in the book, there's all these tales, all these adventures that Odysseus is going through. And it's Odysseus's path, his adventures, it's our paths. And I highly recommend that book. And so I'm going to talk about it a little bit, get into some details. But again, at the risk of repeating myself, it's wonderful, wonderful adventure book. I think even as a kid, I used to like adventure books, stories, Sinbad the Sailor, and so on and so forth. Yeah, he sails around the world. Okay, so Odysseus has been in the Trojan War for 10 years, roughly 10 years. And his main thing is he wants to come home, needs to get home. His true love of his life, Penelope, is there. And his son, Telemachus. And I hope I'm not mispronouncing their names too much. And then even his dad is still alive, Laterus. Now, while Odysseus is gone on his adventures traveling around, Penelope, she has to deal with suitors who want to not marry her and get all the wealth that Odysseus has. And it's this constant suitors knocking on the doors, staying there. She has to deal with them, but she's a very wise woman. She comes up with a plan. She comes up with a plan to help herself. And what she does is this: she sews a garment, and she says, "This garment, I have to finish this garment before I do anything else. This is for my father-in-law, Laterus, who is dying. He has to have this." And so she sews at night, and then in the evening, she undoes it. Now, Telemachus, the son, he's somewhat of a lost soul. Many of the survivors have already come back, and the fathers and the sons, they're together, and they have a purpose, and he is just so envious, and he just doesn't know what to do with himself. He's somewhat in a waiting platform of, so when's my adventure going to start? And I can relate to that specifically. Once I went on an adventure in Nepal, and there was a time where it just struck me that I really needed to get back to the States. I really needed to start my practice. I was done with my project of building a bridge, a suspension bridge. And I remember, though, it just seemed like everything took so long there, but for weeks, I would just be moping around, waiting. Well, finally I moved. Well, here I am. Let me see if I missed, let me check my notes. What is this? Yeah. So one of the specific stories I want to bring up about Odysseus is, let's see, there's about 10 different adventures, but I'll bring up one that really I could understand what was going on there. So Odysseus is, he's getting close to home. He can taste it. After a bunch of different obstacles, fighting with a cyclops, fighting with sea monsters. And by the way, I'll say a little bit about the cyclops. So there's this great battle with the cyclops. Cyclops, his eye is taken out, which helps Odysseus and the men escape. And he's leaving. He's finally made it, and he's on his way, and the ship is moving off, and there's a cyclops. He's right at the shore, and he's screaming and yelling. And then Odysseus, trying to, what do I say, show off, turns around and tells the cyclops who did what to him. I did this. I, the great Odysseus, have blinded you, have made a fool of you. Well, the Cyclops is related to Poseidon, the king, the lord of the ocean. And it's a good example of how sometimes we do bring some pains and problems and suffering upon ourselves. Yeah. So throughout him, Odysseus trying to get home, there's always the problems. The ocean is pushing him the other way. The winds come. Anyway, he's really close to home, but he has to pass an island, the island of the Sirens. Now, the Sirens, there's no way around. They have to go through. So Odysseus decides that he's going to get strapped in. He's going to get strapped to the mast, and all of his men, they'll have cotton in ears so they can't hear anything. So they go through, and Odysseus, he starts to hear the song of the sirens. And I am not going to tell you what happens. You're going to have to read the book. But I will have to tell you about the sirens. They have a power. They have a power to see a person's dreams. They know all about us, everything about us. And one of the things in their singing, they're singing their songs about our past, and they make the past sound so wonderful, where we get lost in the past. And boy, if that doesn't sound familiar, particularly to the people who have been sitting for years, how many sessions have we sat? All right, hopefully not the whole session, but many blocks, a lot of time in the past. And I must say, many years ago when I first started to sit, that was in Chicago. And the leader there, his name was Wally. And after doing about 4 retreats, I believe we were doing short retreats in Chicago, probably 3 or 4 day retreats back in those years. Wally and I, we were having a cup of tea afterwards, and it was just Wally and I. And Wally said, 2 weeks ago, my truck broke down. And you know what I did during session? I thought about my truck the whole time, and we broke out laughing. We broke out laughing because in those years, we were all trying to be all so holy, so vigorous, and that by him telling me that, that was so heartwarming. I just felt just so intimate in my heart. Oh boy, my heart opened up to that. So again, in this book, there's all these tales about how we get lost in the past, how we get lost in the future, how we get lost in all kinds of things, right and wrong, good and bad, all the bunch of tales. There's one more adventure, not Odysseus, but this time a short one, Dogen Zenji. Before I say that, let me say this, something that just keeps on coming up. This path is something in our human nature that we have to do. Yeah, we can delay it. We can go into that waiting mode like telemachus, like Will Brennan, and and probably everyone listening have gone into that waiting mode. But there's no denying it. I really feel that there's just no denying it. It's just something about being a human. So back to Dogen. Dogen also went on his adventure, and his adventure came after he studied with the teachers in Japan at the time. I believe it was 1500s. He was not satisfied at all, and he took a long journey and went to China. And in China, he went from teacher to teacher to teacher, and finally he found Master Rujing. And one night he was sitting in the zendo, and old Master Rujing. Now this is a tale that I heard. I don't know. Well, this is a tale. Let me share it with you. I like it. I like it. This version. He took off his slipper and he'd walk around, and anyone that was sleeping, whack 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 whack. And he came to one person, and he said the words, something like, dropping mind, dropping body, dropping mind. And Dogen, sitting nearby, heard that, and just like that, yeah. Anyway, Dogen came back to Japan, and he was asked, so what did you realize? And Dogen responded, my nose is vertical. My eyes are horizontal. Let's see. I think purpose less. Yeah. By the way, in the book Sailing Home by Norman Fisher, he breaks it up into three different sections. One is called Setting Forth, one is called Disaster, and one is called Return. And I'll mention that in a few minutes when I get to the closing part. Before I leave Sailing Home, I want to share a short meditation. Let me get my glasses for this. A short meditation on the Bodhisattva path and also on remembering all the support we have. And this came about the other day. My family, we had a All Saints celebration, and in our yard, and my heart, my heart just opened up, and I could feel, see, taste, touch my father, feel, taste, touch my mom, all my teachers, past, present, future. And it reminded me of the celebration. We used to have a celebration, All Souls, All Saints Day at Mountain Cloud years ago. And this is really brief, and I'd like to share it with you. Imagine you are surrounded by bodhisattvas, gentle, kind, energetic, helping figures who are focused on you and whose only purpose is to encourage you. These figures may take the form of people you actually know in your life, good friends or mentors, or they may take imaginative archetypal form as Buddhas or biblical figures, or admirable people from the past or present you would have liked to have had in your life. See them in your mind's eye, all around you as you sit in your chair or your zabuton. Now, imagine greeting them one by one, offering them tea and sweets, flowers, gifts of various sorts to thank them for being there and to ask them for further help as you try to summon the best that's within you so that you can endeavor to make the great commitment to devote yourself to others in kindness and compassion as they have done. Be clear that this commitment is not one of self-sacrifice. Taking good care of yourself and taking care of others cannot be mutually exclusive. They depend on each other. For how could you care for others if you are not sound? And how could you ever become sound selfishly? For love and concern for others is the best way to nurture oneself. By the way, our All Souls and All Saints celebrations at Mountain Cloud, I have to say this. We used to have bottles of whiskey. Well, I'd have a picture of my dad and mom, and I have a bottle of whiskey for my daddy, and I'd have some tea for mom. And I remember Billy Bruce had a picture of his dad with his police uniform on, and it was just so neat. It's just so neat. Remembering all these people who have supported us in so many ways, and doing this ceremony in a very most intimate way. Yeah, most intimate. I'm about to move on to the last section here. Yeah. So when I was reading the book, and the book is only 230 pages, it's really not that long. And again, fun, details, laughing. You'll be laughing at yourself quite a lot, and maybe not laughing. There, for sure, there's serious aspects too. But anyway, when I was reading that book, a song, a chant, kept on coming to me again and again and again. And I said, Willie, you have to put this in the talk. You have to put this at the end. So to me, it's Hakuin Zenji's Song of Zazen. To me, this just captures that whole 230-page story. And it's like nine stanzas or paragraphs. And I'm not going to read them all to you. The way I figured to get this message across is, so I told you about those three different sections in the book, Sailing Home. And so I'll say the name of that the section, and then I'll read something from the Song of Zazen, from Hakuin Zenji. Setting forth. The first line and the last line of the Song of Zazen say it all. Just say it all. The first line, from the very beginning, all beings are Buddha. The last line, this very body, the body of Buddha. In the section disaster, this aspect of searching. Like a child of rich birth, wandering poor on this earth. One moment. Path. The path. Gateway to freedom is Zazen Samadhi. Boy, aren't we lucky? I've been saying that if for the people who come in on Wednesday night, every other Wednesday when I run it, I think I tell everyone at the end, aren't we lucky how we treated ourselves so well this evening? And yeah, this shared practice, it's just so precious. And how lucky we are having Henry and Valerie, who are so clear in their message. Yeah. And then finally, return, the last section of the book. Home is not far away. In going and returning, we never leave home. In going and returning, we never leave home. But we must go out and make asses out of ourselves. Oh gosh, yeah, we have to do that. That's where we learn. That's where we learn. After making asses out of ourselves, then we can sit down on the mat and be quiet. And then go back again. And anyway, so wrapping it up right here. So how will I sail home? How will Will Brennan sail home? Tightening up that gas fitting, just the right amount. Having a cup of tea. How will you sail home? Thank you. Thank you for listening to this old plumber. I have fun, and I hope you get some fun out of it also. And thanks for this shared practice, as Valerie says and Henry says.
Will, thank you so much. Wonderful. This old plumber and this young new teacher. Thank you so very much. Valerie, are you there? Do you wanna? Maybe you're not there. I'm not sure. You were there. I'm not sure whether Valerie had to hop off. But anyway, Will, thank you very, very much. I think a great gift to us all, and a lot of fun. So I don't know whether anybody wants to ask a question, or should we just? Valerie's there. Okay, Valerie, do you want to say anything?
Will, what a joy. What a great delight. And offering your heart is just so true, so clear. And yeah, just to laugh at ourselves. So whatever. And then we get to sit.
Yeah.
Thanks again. And I'm here with Scott.
Hi, Scott. Good to see you. Looking forward to seeing both of you in near future.
We are too, very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, Scott, and everybody, and Pego. I think back to you.